that's cold at a show. The sound man found it, don't you know? It took a while for me to get it back, but we stayed in touch and made each other laugh. And then we found a date that fit to meet up. We recorded it in a hotel. That's how the Blue Coat Diaries started. Welcome to the Blue Coat Diaries podcast, special bonus episode. Why is it a bonus? What are you laughing at? Not done anything
just
yet.
last episode, yeah, you made some, I don't know, just casual product placements. I don't know why. And I just thought I'd follow suit this time.
Oh, I was really watching because I was trying to make sure that I got my thing on the screen.
I think that's the most appropriate.
Yeah. Everybody wants free Calpol. I wrote a song about Calpol once. I haven't actually done it on stage yet, but it's basically about being addicted to Calpol. If you're an adult, you know, like thinking, oh, I'll just try a bit of this.
My old band had a review. It's like, you know how like band reviews, like music journalists had like, oh, it's like this band on this drug in this place. It's like,
oh yeah.
It's like someone once reviewed like our performances, like, you know, it's like, I don't know, it was like, oh, it's like eels on Calpol or something like that. Just, I don't know. I can't remember exactly. I think it was a positive review. It was hard to tell.
I mean, everybody loves Calpol. It's the great.
Yeah.
I mean, one day it's going to come out that it's
pink,
got something terrible in it. Yeah, it's got the same sort of thing in it that made the turtles go big in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, but also taught them significant martial arts skills.
Exactly. And I mean, it comes with a syringe, so it's like, you know, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not here this week, which is why we've got a bonus episode, because where am I, Mark?
I don't know, mate. Can you just try and keep your camera steady? It's just moving about a bit. You know.
Hang on, let me get my sea legs. Let me get my sea legs.
There
I go, I got my sea legs.
Are you on a boat?
I'm on a boat. I mean, I'm not now. Oh my God, what is that? I'm on a boat
Those
that's
are
big as
seagulls, you know. Yeah.
Sound like something bigger than a seagull. I am currently at sea.
Talks, mate. Yeah.
I'm currently at sea, travelling from the Italy region to the Southampton region on a cruise, performing. But we didn't want to let you down. We didn't want you to get to Friday and think, oh, there's no podcast because Jonnys swanning about on a cruise with those giant seagulls. Killer seagulls.
He's on an indirect passage from Italy to Southampton.
So what we've done is we've made a bonus podcast, which you're listening to now. Now, the bonus podcast, it was like, okay, how do we do a bonus one? Well, it needs to be a standalone episode that's nothing to do with time or anything. So here's what I was thinking. You know, when we first ever got together and we did our first ever Blue Coat Diaries podcast back in the day.
We do. I mean, if YouTube viewers are looking at me now and they might be wondering why I've got a look of trepidation on my face, because I literally don't know what's happening now. Jonnys just said, oh, we're just going to do this. Don't worry. You don't need a script. We'll just wing it.
You'll be pleased because when we first did that, and I was thinking, right, we need to chat about something. Do you remember what I did to get us started on the first ever episode? Do you remember what I did to come up with some questions?
Did you Google it? No.
I Googled what, though?
Oh, you did, yeah. Oh, you Googled, like...
questions to ask.
Yeah, questions to ask when first meeting someone. Was it an interview question or something?
Date.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You took me to a tiny hotel room, and
I didn't take you. You came to my hotel room. I lured you in.
Okay, exactly. Okay. I nearly said something that would not really be broadcastable there, given the current scandals.
Yeah, let's remember where we are in the current climate. But listen, it worked really well because we had a good chat about those things. And I thought, you know what? That's what we'll do today. We'll do a second date. So what I've done is I've Googled questions to ask on a second date. Because actually, looking back on that early podcast, you said in a later episode, it did feel to you like you were going, the closest thing to it would be like, going on a date. Obviously, it was nothing to do with dating, but it felt like that thing of when you don't really know who you're meeting and you want to make a good impression and all that kind of stuff. So
it was
that's
more
what I'm
than
thinking.
that, because you meet someone and you have like a kind of a good banter and good connection, and then it's ages before you get to meet them again. And then like you're thinking, it creates this weird trepidation. Not that I really expected anything of it, but it was a bit weirdly like that kind of.
So are you happy for us to make the bonus episode today a second date led episode in terms of the questions?
Mark and Johnny's second date special. All right.
And here's the
thing. Yeah, go on then.
I've used a very well-known and respected source. I've got these questions from Brides magazine. All right.
Yeah, mate. I mean, at this point, why fight it?
There's 42 questions, which is way too many. So I'm going to ask you to choose a number from 1 to 42.
One for each year of my life.
You choose a number from 1 to 42, and then I'll ask the question, and we'll both answer it. Okay?
Okay.
So let's go. Let's go for it.
Well, let's start at the Douglas Adams special.
Before we do it.
All right.
If this takes time, just say no, because we don't want a big gap in the podcast. But in the Riverside bank of music and things and stuff, is there anything that's like a theme tune or like a game show music or anything like that where we can play Let's Go Dating? And then we can fire up a... just give it a go. Press things.
Right, yeah. Let's go.
Have you got one? You're listening to the Blue Coat Diaries podcast with me, Johnny Awesome, and Mark Carver. It's time to go dating again. All right, that'll do. That was pretty good. All right, pick a number.
Let's go Douglas Adams special, the final question, 42.
42. Okay. Which book has changed your life? That's good. Which book has changed your life? Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so as you know, I like going running, right? I'm into my running. But I used to hate stretching. I was really anti it. I just wanted to put my trainers on and go running. I felt like it's enough to make the effort of go running without having to bloody stretch before and afterwards. Anyway, I'm a massive convert to stretching, like huge. And I bought this book. It's really old school. Shall I grab it? Let me grab it. Hang on,
go on.
Stay there. I'm going to show you YouTube. Just going to go and get it. Proper sound happening now. Bringing it back.
For audio-only listeners, Johnny has left the Seabourn studio.
Book. I'm not sponsored by this guy, by the way, but it's by Bob Anderson. What I like about this is it's illustrated by Jean Anderson. Pretty sure that's his wife.
Or his mum.
Or his mum, yeah. And it's basically just, I mean, that picture there, I've never really looked at that one before, but I like to look at that.
Can I just...
You describe it.
Can I just get a clean shot of the front cover again, please? I mean, it's very pink. That is a complex and quite a big old stretch there.
I don't do that one so much.
Yeah, I mean, it looks retro AF. The drawings
really
are
That's what
humorous.
I like about it. That's what I like about it. He's not an influencer.
I'm amazed you brought it on a boat. I mean, did it go everywhere with you?
You're going to really confuse this episode. People are going to think like, wow, he's actually on a boat. I'm on the real Johnny Austin is on a boat. That's made it worse.
I'm actually talking to WD41 and he's had an upgrade.
WD41.
Johnny's not needed anymore.
Now, can you think of a book that you felt was life-changing in any way? Come on.
This is it's tricky. I think I used to devour books when I was a kid. I was like an only child and I used to read a lot. But I think the first proper book I read, and I read it quite young, was The Hobbit. And I really... Yeah, and I went through that, and then I devoured like Lord of the Rings and all those books. And I loved it, and I don't think. I mean, I love those stories. I love those books, and they're timeless. The fact that I was nearly 20 before they made kind of like proper movies of it, and then years later they're making more, and now there's TV series. It's like one of those enduring kind of just fantasy worlds.
Well, it's good versus evil, isn't it?
It's endured, like, you know, we're going to be 100 years of that, and people will still know that story.
Definitely.
And I don't think it really sort of necessarily changed my life. You know, I don't go out there every day thinking, unleash your inner Aragorn, you know, let's Frodo the shit out of today. What I do think, though, is it gave me a love of reading. And I don't read much nowadays, but every so often I'll get back to it, and I'll have like Kindle app thing or on the iPad, and I'll read books like that. And I love physical books, but I think my life isn't really catered for dealing with physical books. I just turn around and find them covered in crayon or torn up from a 4-year-old, or I'd
like
lose
the
it on
last
a
page
gig.
is gone.
So that gave me a love of reading, that book, and I think probably insofar as that, probably the most important one, just the joy of reading, really.
And it's interesting you should say that, because we've never chatted before about you liking The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but now looking at you, and if you go on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see Mark and see what he looks like.
Yeah.
I can see how you have got a little bit of the Lord of the Rings vibe going on.
Yeah, I look like a shit homeless Viking Lord of the Rings pirate.
You've got a bit of. You've got a bit. You look like you could have come out of the Shire for sure.
The Shire? You think I was one of the small people?
Well, no, just the. You know, they've got a lot of hair, haven't they? The hobbits.
Yeah, they've got no beards though, have they?
Have any of the hobbits got a beard? That's our
Everyone's
question for
got
this
a lot of hair. Everyone in Lord of the Rings has got a lot of hair.
Yeah, there's a lot of hair knocking about in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
All right, I like that answer. It got you into reading. I mean, that is a game-changing thing. That is a life-changing
it's
thing
game-changing.
because, you know, you need the old reading for all sorts.
Oh,
right,
great.
Give us a number.
31.
31. What Spotify station are you currently rocking?
Mate, don't. Impossible.
I think maybe
Impossible
let's
to answer.
Look at
Because
your last couple of things you've listened to on Spotify. How about that? And I'll do that.
But
as well.
my Spotify, I've got like one of the Spotify professional super duper accounts
Yeah.
for when I desperately have to play something at a gig, and I have to play all sorts of mental requests, from client requests when they're pissed up at the end of some corporate do,
Well, have a look on there for the last thing
a
that's
request
yours.
for background music between gigs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Hopefully. Right.
While
let's
you're
see
opening
if
that
I can-
up, I'll tell you mine. So Marcus will laugh at this when I tell you this, but one of the last albums I played on here was the soundtrack to Local Hero by Mark Knopfler, because I probably listen to that more than anything else because I'm just obsessed with it. It's just a really great soundtrack by a really great songwriter. I don't know if you've ever seen that film. It's brilliant.
Sorry, I zoned out on you there, Johnny. Well, I'm looking at Spotify. What did you say yours was again?
The soundtrack to Local Hero, written by Mark Knopfler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Local Hero is an 80s film about a guy that gets sent to this little tiny Scottish town. It's to do with oil and this big company from America that wants to put a pipeline in or something like that. But he ends up sort of falling in love with the town and there's people he meets there and stuff. It's really great. It's called Local Hero.
Yeah.
But
was
Mark
the town in Dire Straits?
Exactly. And next to that, another album I've listened to death is Lost in the Dream by The War on Drugs. That is a good album.
Oh, I saw War on Drugs in Birmingham. Were we in Brum when we went to see him? I just happened to get given a ticket for that. So, I mean, I've got all sorts on here.
Find something that was yours and not a client choice.
Well, I've got a lot here. So I've got various, like, I've got some client choices. There's an album that I've listened to a lot by a band called Sleigh Bells.
Okay.
And the album's called Texas. And it is utterly bananas. bananas. I've never said bananas like that in my life. It is absolutely mental production. It's like this super produced pop vocal over just totally eclectic production. I love it to bits. I love that album to bits, and I use that when tuning a sound system. Got Electric Pets as a band I do sound for. They're lovely. They're great. They're sort of sleaze rock, bluesy sleaze rock stuff. The band called Pet Crow, who I adored. They were friends of mine. I did sound for them. They put me in the liner notes of their vinyls, and I was showing Finley records the other day, like physical records, and I've got a collection of records I've been given that I'm like in the liner notes of, or I had something to do with, or one or two of them I even played on. So there's I was showing him, and he was like, loved them because he loved the pictures, and I've got some like clear vinyl and a blue one
and look at.
Yeah. So I put it on this because my record player doesn't work at the moment. The preamp for it's gone, so I listened to some Pet Crow on here. They were a great band. And then I've got my Soundcheck playlist, which includes what we got here. We got Sleigh Bells, the whole album. Just when I really want to upset a client, I've got Nobody Speak by DJ Shadow.
Are these the ones for you to like fire out then and make sure everything's working, like the bass is there and the
and also ones that I like. I often just stick this on and have people come and go, "Are you the DJ? This is great," especially if they lived in the 90s and enjoyed it. Soul Coughing, Super Bonbon, loads of Cake. Cake's a great band.
Oh, I loved Cake. They've got that song She'll Come Back to Me with that bass line that just keeps going. And it's got all those trumpets on it.
They did great covers.
Remember that?
Yeah, they covered I Will Survive and War Pigs by Black Sabbath. That was great.
Yeah, great band.
Comfort Eagle, just great. Eels, Beck, some Massive Attack here.
It's a good
Bat
mix.
Flashes. I've got a Skrillex track. That's like a system checker. Fleetwood Mac. A band called Calva Louise, who are a young band that I did sound for, who are great, and my boy loves listening to them.
I went to this great thing at Glastonbury called Fleet Mac Wood. Have you heard about Fleet Mac Wood?
Fleet Mac Wood.
Fleet Mac Wood is a DJ, and I think she's kind of got it okayed by Fleetwood Mac, so that they've probably even given her the stems, I think. She's called Fleet Mac Wood, but she's officially like okayed by Fleetwood Mac. And she does like a rave set, but it's all Fleetwood Mac based. But I think she's been given all the tracks, like the stems or whatever, because there's bits where it just drops down to like the bass line of a well-known Fleetwood Mac song, and then it's gets like the kick drum coming or whatever. But it's really cool. We went to see it at Glastonbury, and it was packed, and it's just brilliant because it's like being at a rave, but all the music.
I love that. I'd like to see that now. Fleetwood Mac was a band that I remember my mum loved when I was growing up, and kind of by proxy I disliked Fleetwood Mac because it just didn't make sense to me. And it wasn't until I sort of started playing music and got into engineering, and then I went back to listening to some old Fleetwood Mac records, and I was just blown away by A, how good it was, B, how wonderfully it was produced, apart from Tusk, and C, just how much variety. And now I love Fleetwood Mac. And weirdly, when I was teaching kids, I put on a really early Fleetwood Mac track called Oh Well. And it's like this real ripping blues track. And it was recorded live for the BBC on some programme in black and white. And it's proper tear your face off blues. All the kids were like, this is sick. This is awesome. Who are these guys? They knew. And I'm like, no, this is like from the 60s. And they're like, no way. Because it was just so aggressive. And if it was released in 2010 or whatever it was when I was teaching those kids, then it would have still been a hit.
I watched an amazing documentary about them. I didn't realise that like two of them were going out with each other, and then I think the other two were, and then I think this is right. I think it's like two couples, and then they basically ended up swapping partners.
And one of them went off with the lighting engineer. Yeah, I think that was Christine.
There's all sorts of stuff to do with
rumours.
The songs.
No, it was all true. That's a Flight of the Conchords joke, I think.
All right, give me another number. Let's go. We've done 2 questions so far. We're doing well. Let's do another one. Let's do another one
let's
on our
go.
second date.
So what do? We did 42, 31. Let's go 20 then.
20. Okay. Have you seen any good movies lately?
Have I seen
I've got the
any
answer
good
to this.
movies lately?
I've got the answer to this.
You have.
Yeah.
Do you want to go? Go on then.
Have you seen
Give me a
Cocaine Bear?
I haven't. No.
Well, I've watched the first about 15 minutes, but I made a pact with my mate, which was that we're not allowed to watch it on our own. We have to watch it when we next get together, because we watched it after going to that Hacienda Classical that I was telling you about at the Mud Bowl.
Yeah.
But everybody fell asleep after about 15 minutes.
Right.
So we stopped watching it. But then we made a pact that we will watch it another time when we're all together because it was great. It's basically based on a true story. You know the true story?
Yes. There's a bear, found a load of cocaine, went mental, mate.
Ate it and went on a rampage. Yeah. So I've only watched the first 10, 15 minutes, but it was good fun. I was enjoying it. What about you?
I believe they kind of hyperbolized the rampage a bit in that film, I'm led to believe.
Well, I think the people making it had a mountain of cocaine. And then
they probably had more than the bear.
Yeah.
Right.
The director's like, how do we get into the mindset of this bear? Let's take loads of cocaine.
It's method acting.
I really feel like the bear. I really feel like the bear now. And I've got a business idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. I now I'm just thinking of other drug-fueled, animal rampages. Yeah. Gentle Ben off his face on Racket. It's a bit of an obvious one. I don't watch a lot of movies. It's like one of those time-consuming things, and I'm usually either researching something or watching a YouTube video, or I don't know. I probably should, but usually it's because I can't decide what to bloody watch. Anyway,
You must be able to think of the last film you watched, though.
That's right. The last film I watched, or I didn't fully pay attention to it, but it was last night, and it was the Super Mario Brothers film with Finn again.
Last night?
The new one. Well, yeah. We got home from school yesterday.
It's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite liked it. I think it's charming. I thought they did a great job of realising it. I thought it was great. It wasn't a tour de force of storytelling, and they got lots of references in there. I liked it. What did I watch? I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I've not seen that yet. Is it any good?
I liked it. It was kind of like a multiple universe theories kind of, for fans of quantum physics. It's kind of, it was fun, and it was a bit silly, and it was utterly mental. I quite enjoyed it. And I watched that because I was told it's something that I might enjoy. It reminded me of like kind of really sort of out there films from like late 90s or something. And then before that, not that I watched all of it, but a mate of mine who was doing one of the stages at Bearded Theory. Yeah. We were that stage where we went to see the band, the big tented stage.
Oh yeah, I remember.
At the end of the night, a chap I know, by my Rob, he put on Pulp Fiction on the big screen on the stage after all the gigs had gone. And he just decided to do it. And I remember I went to see him, and I'd had a couple of beers because I don't get to leave the house very often, so I kind of probably irritatingly staggered up to his front of house position at whatever time in the morning, and started chatting to him, and it was that scene with Christopher Walken explaining the pocket watch to the boy.
Yes.
And I'd forgotten how incredibly long that scene goes on for, and it's just genius. I appreciated. I haven't seen that film in years, and I just appreciated it even all the more for thinking I never noticed how long and drawn out and intentionally so that bit was. It was
such a
great.
Good film.
It's just
such
phenomenal.
a good film. It's funny because I was going to say to you, a film that I watched at the cinema. I don't go to cinema that much anymore, but I went to see this film at the cinema called Nope, which is by the guy that made Get Out. can't remember the director's name. We need to find that out.
I'm not familiar.
I'm looking it up now. But Nope is kind of like a sci-fi kind of UFO type thing. It's really, really good. And
Right.
I was telling Helen about it the other day, and I basically said what I loved about it was when I left the cinema, I felt like I'd just been to see something kind of really sort of that stayed with me, and it felt like Jordan Peele is the guy,
Right.
and he also made Get Out, which is like a really big film that I think kind of got him going, like as a director. But I was saying to Helen that it reminded me of like when I went to see Pulp Fiction, in that it is a real kind of spectacle. So I highly recommend that to the listeners and to you. Nope, it's called.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah, Nope. Cool. Nope. Should we do another one?
Another film or another question?
Another question.
I was just going to say, I think it feels like films have fallen by the wayside in the last couple of decades, just due to like the box sets and the big budget kind of series.
Yeah, it's because of the streaming.
Yeah. I think it really does feel like there's less of movies of note. But I think that's good, because I think we got to a point where there was just too many and you can't decide what to watch and have to wade through too much crap.
It's definitely changed. I mean, it's kind of sad because going to the cinema and having popcorn and laughing with like a whole huge load of people and an audience and all that stuff like that is all a kind of really magical thing. And it's a shame if that kind of goes. I mean, it'll never totally go. But I think just sort of going to the cinema is definitely like when we were younger, that was a thing that you did. Like you would go to the cinema. I can't imagine that. I don't know whether the youngsters are doing that now. The youngsters, I don't know.
Mate, it's like 25, 30 quid to go to the cinema. Why would they? It's like
probably not
mental.
No.
Yeah, well,
just stay at home and watch Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is, in the old days, you couldn't get the sort of big names to do TV stuff, but now pretty much everybody has done a box set type thing. There's literally a couple of people who've not gone there yet, like say Tom Cruise hasn't, but so many massive names have. So many blockbuster film people have now done one, and, done a series.
Yeah.
So that's another reason I reckon that's happened. Give me another number.
I think so. Right. Okay. So we went up. Let's go for 9.
Ooh, down in the 10s. Right. Which sports teams do you follow?
Which sports teams do I follow?
Yeah, do you follow any sports teams? Is the question.
I'm not a sports guy, really. I don't follow football. It's just something that I never connected with me. I used to watch international rugby a lot. I loved international rugby. Yeah. I'm an Ireland fan. More so now than ever, that they're really good and beating everyone. But I just love the rugby internationals. I always really enjoyed that. I don't catch it as much. I never used to miss a Six Nations match or an international just to watch. And now, I usually end up having to. I think it came with work. I've got a boy who you can't sit down in front of rugby. It's not going to happen. Or I'm working and I just miss it naturally. But I do watch. I always had a love of violence when I was growing up. I love martial arts, and I do watch the UFC stuff pretty religiously.
Have you got a favourite UFC person?
Dude, there's so many. It depends on the matchups. There's some great ones. I like Justin Gaethje, and I like.
Is Conor McGregor still in that? Is Conor McGregor still in that world, or is he kind of?
He's come back to do another season of The Ultimate Fighter, where they get a load of hopefuls into a house and they're kind of coached, and he's one of the coaches. But he's
become more of a name then.
He's so unbelievably rich. Well, he fought a chap called Dustin Poirier, probably 18 months ago. I can't remember exactly, but it was a while back, and he broke his leg in the fight, like snapped his ankle.
His own leg, or he broke the other guy?
Yeah. Arguably Dustin Poirier broke his leg. I mean, I think it was a pre-existing injury, and he went into it, and he lost the fight because of it. And but obviously, I mean, he went into an intensive rehabilitation period, and it was nasty. You know, it was proper. So, and he got very big. Probably some form of medicine that he's been given to help his leg heal. So I think that's kind of prevented him from coming back a little bit, because they have quite strict testing for such medicines. So, and he got very, very big. So the idea is he's supposed to be fighting the other coach, who's a chap called Michael Chandler, who's an American chap, and he's very exciting as well. And that would be great. But people are like, are they going to be able to make this fight happen? You know, due to the testing thing, possibly the weight differential, because Conor McGregor's huge now.
Did you see it when the guy that won World's Strongest Man for Britain, Eddie Hall, fought the Mountain in a boxing match?
Thor Hafbjörnsson.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
Because that was like a kind of, will it happen, won't it happen? There was a load of drama about that, load of trash talking going on and all sorts of things.
I mean, I think they still have beef. I think...
Oh, yeah. Well, he lost, didn't he? Eddie Hall lost it, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, there was... Because Eddie Hall's got a YouTube channel. It's quite entertaining sometimes, because you watch him and he'll go like rock climbing and stuff like this, and you're just like, what do you mean? Because
we're going to need some extra ropes, guys.
You imagine, because I mean, obviously he's incredibly strong, but like the strength to weight ratio, you watch like pro rock climbers, they're always like these super slim, incredibly ripped guys.
Yeah,
doing
it's all
it
about that.
So it's just strength to weight is the thing, not. So he does all this different stuff, and he's actually quite entertaining. But I saw a thing about where he was answering some questions on that, and he was still, you know, pretty sore about that. But personally, I think there's too many of these media story fights. Well, you know what the next one is?
Who?
Well, it's been confirmed. Supposedly it's happening. Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg in a UFC fight. That's an actual thing that's happening.
I mean, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. I mean, you watch that kind of event, so who do you think's going to tip that for you?
Elon Musk's much bigger than him, but apparently he's lost loads of weight. And Mark Zuckerberg, despite being absolutely... look, I don't know the guy, but he comes across as a fucking dead behind the eyes lizard. So... but apparently he trains MMA and jiu-jitsu. So he's actually, that's a thing that he does. And I know that Elon Musk actually did judo when he was younger. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting, because that I would usually not sign up to watch these kind of things. But I think it's interesting because of these people's mindsets. Like the amount of, like Elon Musk, very divisive character, but you can't argue the fact that, you know, the sheer quantity of things he achieves just through power of mindset. And I think Zuckerberg's another one of those people that it's almost this kind of psychological, some would say,
how did it
psychotic,
come about? Like, do they not like each other? Did they
kind of mindset where they can?
Did they have like a spat and it turned into this?
Well, it's always the Facebook, Twitter spat, isn't it? It's they're technology gurus. I think they probably know each other. They probably discuss all the time, and there's like all this kind of beef online, and I bet they're just having fun with it. I know that,
and they'll just make a fortune out of the fight.
Well, Musk's just a piss taker, isn't he? He loves it. It's like. I mean, he bought Twitter to take the piss, didn't he? It's just like, because he could. And,
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really follow anyone religiously, but recently we went to see London Lions basketball, which was great. That's like the London team that play in the BBL. And it was a really good thing to go to as a family, actually. Like, maybe one day when Finn's a bit older, I would recommend taking him to a basketball match, because it's really entertaining. It's like, even when they have a break, you know, even when they say timeout, that means the DJ comes on and starts playing some hip hop, and all the dancers come out and start doing this big kind of, you know, group dance, like diversity type dance. And there's lots of, you know, the shot clock counting down, and the organ. You've got like 25 seconds or 30 seconds or something to take the next shot. So there's always something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always something happening. It's not like football where I do like football, but it's not like you could go 20 minutes without anyone really trying to have a shot on goal. Whereas in basketball, continuously you've got to do it. So I wouldn't say I'm a sort of super fan of theirs, but we definitely really enjoyed that, and we'll probably see them again. And then just because we live in South London, and I thought it would be nice for my kids to have a team that's kind of local to them. We've been to see Crystal Palace a few times. Crystal Palace is kind of the team that we've got half an eye on in our house, although I am from Derby. So like we had on the podcast, Derby County is another team that I would watch as well,
Yeah. In their red shirts. You seen that?
Who? Derby County?
Yeah, they've released I think it's the next one's going to be a red.
What?
Yeah. Or I don't know if it's the away kit or something.
It must be the away kit. It must be,
but
because they always have white, don't they?
I don't know. Look, I don't follow it. I don't really know anything about it. But
you know why that would be a big
living
deal?
in Derby, and you're on Facebook and you've got mates all around Derby, and you've got loads of Rams fans giving it all that. Yeah,
well,
Tom will be in one.
You know why they'll be cross about it, right? Because
it's Forest.
Yeah, no,
not
red.
in Forest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's a direct sort of.
Yeah, that's the Forest Derby County. Yeah, it's never going to go away. That is it.
Let's do one more of these second date questions. And
right.
Finish on a good one.
42, 31, 29, and 4.
4. Okay, this is a nice one to finish on, and quite good timing with the summer break coming up. What were the holidays like in your house growing up?
Holidays? Do you mean like school holidays?
I think it means, yeah. Or if you went on holiday when you were a kid.
I don't remember lots of holidays when I was younger. For the first significant portion of my life, until I was about 10, my mum was a single mum. She worked a lot. And it was the 80s, man. It was like different. We were like latchkey kids. We used to go out on our bikes. Like at 8 years old, I cycled miles into the town to go.
So for you, it would be like a big time
playing out,
school and you could just go and see your mates, get on your bike,
get on a bike every day,
kind of vibe.
Yeah, and you'd be out until X time, and your mum would come and call you at whatever time, and you were always an hour late, and you always got a bollocking, and it was just like climbing trees, getting conkers, going on adventures, just all the time. That
proper,
and as I got older,
being a kid.
And as you got older, it was like going to mates' houses, listening to records, going out, going on bus trips. Like teenage years, I lived on the Isle of Wight, and we used to get these tickets. You could called a rover ticket, yeah, and you could apply for one if you're a student. And it was a free bus pass for the entire summer. I remember it costing about 40 something quid. I was like, that's a lot of money, but I'd get that ticket. But you could use the bus as much as you want all over the Isle of Wight. As much as you liked for 6 weeks. So when you think about it, imagine that value for money now. Never happen, would it?
And I can imagine that pass felt like a real bit of freedom.
It was freedom. We'd go from like Cowes to Newport, go see my mates because they lived all over the place. We'd go to Sandown, Shanklin, Ryde. We'd just go anywhere we wanted. I'd get up some days and just get on a bus. Just go whatever I felt like. Just, And I remember just going to see mates, go to beaches, go to parties. Just, it was always about just going and doing my thing. Like holidays when I was a kid, I think there were some, but nothing sticks in my mind as much as just going out, having adventures. And
yeah.
I think nowadays, I don't know if it's because of media or it's because of the world has become more dangerous or what's happened, but I don't think kids, I used to cycle 10 miles to school, and I used to go on buses and stuff by myself when I was a kid. I'd go to and from school. Nowadays, people drive their kids to school in their tanks. I know, I've got a old Land Rover that I drive Finn to nursery in. He's 4 though, but I think it's different. Kids aren't just like let out and then come back in at 8 p.m.
Definitely.
You know,
It's
or
definitely
they
changed.
don't.
It's very different.
When I was 10, 12, 13, I mean, by 13, 14, I was going to pubs and standing on tiptoes, and you know, I had the deepest voice, so I was always the one who had to buy beer from the shop, and you know,
Going
all this
in with
sort
your
of
Radio
thing.
2 mic.
Yeah, I was like, I'll have a pint of Foster's, please. I was born in 1973. You know, as if a pint of Foster's, you immediately knew you were underage because no self-respecting person would
I
order it
think
anyway.
that your answer's a really nice answer because, yeah, you know, it's nice. You can think of like holidays that people go on, like to different places abroad or here or whatever. But I think that is quite a nice thing to touch on. That I can also remember things like playing football at the park.
Yeah,
in the village I grew up in, everyone
jumpers for
would play a
goalposts.
match. Well, we used to play till really late. I mean, it's kind of a running joke back then that it would normally get called time when one of the kids, who was called Paul, his mum would shout from their house that Tomorrow's World was on, and that was like time for him to go back.
8:30.
Tomorrow's World.
Yeah,
but that was
8:30,
almost like our full time whistle. That was almost like our do it.
To be fair,
going, Paul, Tomorrow's World's on. Everyone's like, it's the end of the game. That's that then.
Well, Tomorrow's World comes on. That means you've already missed the Krypton factor.
Way better days. I mean, forget all these watching films and Netflix and blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow's World and Krypton. I mean, Krypton factor.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing well. Oh, he's ahead by 10 points. Wait till the physical challenge at the end.
Exactly. It was all about the assault course. Yeah, it was all about the assault course at the end, man. Yeah, 100%.
Talking of which, do you know what's coming back to TV?
Is it? It's not. It's a knockout, is it?
No, I think that ended badly, didn't it?
I was going to be surprised given the
Does this help?
Connections. No.
That's this week's clip for the podcast. The gap there was like you were just going to go, I thought you were going to go, oh my God, are they bringing gladiators back? I mean, going, yes, they're bringing gladiators back.
Contenders ready.
No, exactly. Yeah, I don't know whether he's coming back or not, but they're going to do gladiators apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I was on in the paper with Jet and Lightning when I was a young boy.
Oh my God, we're finishing on this. Why?
Yeah.
Why
well,
were you?
I did. We, when they had those school things where you're sponsored, and I was young. I mean, I must have been like 10, 11, 12. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of these charity things where it's an initiative they were doing all over the country, and we do this charity thing, and you get sponsored, and I got like per push up, per shuttle run, per pull up and all this, and per sit up. So it's all these things. And adults are stupid because they're like, oh yeah, I'll give you 20p a push up and 15p a sit up. And this is, so I was like, okay, right. And I was quite an athletic wee lad. So by the time I'd done like 60 push-ups and 50,
you were invoicing people.
I was sending out invoices. It was quite a significant amount of money. I think people quickly realised once they'd seen the numbers that they had really fucked up.
You were absolutely rinsing the grown-ups.
Yeah, this was like 80s, early 90s. So that was like...
For charity, though.
Yeah. So
yeah, not for you. It wasn't like a fundraiser.
No, it's like I didn't... yeah.
What was the charity? Can you remember?
Oh, mate, it was like 30-something years ago. No idea.
I think it was that one that got a massive injection of cash back in the 90s.
It was like steroids for spaghetti-armed kids or something. I don't know.
Oh, wow. So where did the gladiators come into that?
Well, they were kind of like they were promoting this. It was like it might have been Sport Relief or something, or remember they did.
They were part of the setup.
I think it might have been a real sort of early incarnation of that, because I think Sport Relief came way later. It was around sort of the same time that Comic Relief and Red Nose Day was a big thing, though.
Yeah.
So I think it was something like that. So they were like kind of the promotional people for it, and I think they did a picture for me with me for the local paper when they realised I'd absolutely scammed all these adults out of money to give to charity. Yeah, I think I did quite well. So
who were you with?
Who was I with?
Yeah, for the picture.
I seem to think I think it was Lightning. Could have been Zodiac. Jet. I think there were pictures. There were several pictures done, but I don't know which one they used. I had a massive crush on
Jet when I was growing up.
Yeah. Was it?
Diane? Have you got that picture? Can we add that to the YouTube? Have you got that photo?
Mate, do I have that? Actually, my parents are cleaning out their loft at the minute, and they did find some embarrassing school photos.
For that photo. Please ask for that
photo. I don't know
it.
if they're going to find that one. I'm sure they'll tell me.
They must have kept that. The clipping of you in the paper with the gladiators. That's a big moment, Mark. I feel like you peaked at that moment.
I don't think they even noticed. I think someone else showed me.
Oh, wow. Well, listen, I think that's a wonderful place to stop. If we hadn't done our second day and our questions, thank you very much, Brides Magazine, for the questions.
Thank you, Brides Magazine.
Mark
we are open to we are open to sponsorship, Brides Magazine. So, if you get some
I
t-shirts.
think the chances of Brides Magazine sponsoring this pod are so slim. I'd put them up there with Wolf coming back as one of the gladiators. He's got to be about 90 now, isn't he? He was quite old when they made it.
I don't know.
Imagine if he hears this and he comes for me at a gig.
Yeah. He's a strong man. He's an octogenarian, I reckon.
Imagine if I was on stage and at the back I just saw Wolf come in his get-up from Gladiators, and he was like really angry with me, but not even like pantomime angry, like actually genuinely angry. I thought, oh my God, I've really messed this up.
Yeah. It's the baby blue lycra that's really the most intimidation factor, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd be scared.
Wow, imagine if this is the moment where your nemesis, Wolf from Gladiators, becomes your nemesis. Maybe he'll be on. Maybe he'll be involved. He'll be like a commentator.
He could be the referee or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what.
Because I don't know what's going on with that other guy. I've not seen him in any other shows since he was on the Gladiators. That referee.
Pretty niche, shouting contenders ready, like in like Glaswegian AF,
I bet he did some good personal appearances and stuff though in corporates back in the day.
Oh yeah, I mean, I bet all of them still rinse a corporate to a degree.
Like, they're going to open a new supermarket. They've got the ribbon and the scissors, and he's probably like, "Mayor, ready." They've got those big fake scissors that they use to do it. Anyway, Mark, this has been really good fun. I hope the listeners have enjoyed this bonus edition of the podcast. We'll be back next week with a proper podcast. You've still got time to let us know about our question, which is the funniest thing you've ever seen at a gig or a festival. Send that into the socials. Other than that, unless you've got anything else, Mark, I reckon we put the lid on this one and we call it a second date.
Should we bang a lid on it?
Bang a lid on it and play the most gorgeous outro tune in pop world.
Okay, yeah. Don't call me, I'll call you, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. I appreciate your time, I really need that. Join us again for the next episode. Might not be funny, but we'll give it a go. To hit the button and subscribe. We're just getting started, don't be shy. We'll be back soon with more to share. Join us for the ride if you dare. That's it for now, we'll see you soon for another episode coming to